Hello and welcome to another edition of NAFDAC and Your Health, brought to you by NAFDAC, the agency that has the constitutional mandate of safeguarding the health of the nation by ensuring that you patronize only wholesome and approved food products, drugs, cosmetics, medical equipment, and chemicals. My name is Amanda Ugo. On this edition of the program, our focus on the first segment will be the keynote speech of the NAFDAC DG at this year's edition of NECCIPR Roundtable, a forum organized by public relations practitioners to deliberate on issues of public concern. And on the second segment, we'll be featuring the visit of the NAFDAC DG to Codix Pharm Limited as part of our efforts to ensure Nigeria has drug security and self-dependency in drug production. Quality and standard drugs are germane in ensuring a healthy nation. This is why NAFDAC, as a regulatory agency in charge of the administration and control of food, drugs, and other regulated products, strives to ensure all hands are on deck in ensuring that drugs made available for public consumption are nothing short of good quality and high standards. Apart from promptly and optimally carrying out its regulatory obligations as far as the provision of quality and standard drugs are concerned, the agency is always ready to partner and collaborate with other stakeholders in harnessing resources geared towards ensuring that public health is protected. It is against this background that the DG of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, honored the call of public relations practitioners to be the keynote speaker at the 23rd edition of NECCIPR Roundtable, a platform created for practitioners in the public relations, corporate communications, and brand management profession to discuss germane issues of public interest. Delivering her keynote speech at this year's edition of the program themed Fighting the Scourge of Illicit Drugs in the Nigerian Pharma Industry, the Role of Communication, which was the 23rd in the series at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. The Director-General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, began by acknowledging the significance of the focus of this year's edition of the program.
It is a great pleasure and honor for me to give this keynote speech on the 21st NECCIPR Roundtable. The topic of this address, Fighting the Scourge of Illicit Trade in the Pharma Industry, the Role of Communication, is very, very apt, considering the expeditious need to promote local manufacturing of active pharmaceutical ingredients and to move Nigeria from an importer of finished pharmaceutical products to a country where all classes of finished pharmaceutical products are manufactured.
The DG went on to define what illicit drugs are and the extent the phenomenon poses economic threats globally.
What is illicit trade? It involves the manufacturing, the distribution, and sale of goods that are prohibited by domestic and or international law. It includes dealing with products that, due to their characteristics, are illegal in all or some jurisdictions. Substandard falsified medicines, by WHO definition, is called out of specification medicine. And these medicines fail the quality standards or specifications or both. Falsified medicines. The WHO defines falsified medicines as a medicine that is deliberately and fraudulently misrepresented in identity, composition, or source. Unknown manufacturers produce these medications under unhygienic and uncontrolled conditions. We see this every day in NAFDAC. They might contain harmful contaminants, inactive components, the wrong active pharmaceutical ingredients, or incorrect amounts of the right API. And some don't even have API at all. They just put lactose or starch together, if we are lucky, if they don't add something that is going to kill people. Falsified medications frequently have virtually the same packaging or even better packaging as the genuine medication, making it difficult to distinguish between the two without conducting some detection tests on the medication ingredients. What is the scale and the impact of the problem of illicit trade in Nigeria? From 2011 to 2018, May 16, NAFDAC was shut out of the Nigerian ports. NAFDAC was absent for 7 years. And when I joined NAFDAC in November 2017, I was shocked to the bone, because for the first 7 months or 8 months, I was fighting tramadol and codeine. Our children were getting mad. Married women were selling tramadol, codeine, or whatever. That was the status of the situation in Nigeria. Due to high demand, pharmaceuticals are particularly susceptible to falsification. The enormous financial rewards from dealing in substandard falsified medicines have lured domestic and foreign criminal organizations into this business. According to 2020 Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development European Observatory on Infringement of Intellectual Properties survey report, among the 97 documented product categories, medicines were the 10th most affected commodity between 2014 and 2016, based on records of seizures by customs. The same report estimates that in 2016, the value of global commerce in substandard falsified medicines or counterfeits reached $4.4 billion. This accounts for about 0.84% of all pharmaceutical product imports globally, but excludes a sizable amount of locally produced and consumed substandard falsified medicines. According to Interpol data, the market for falsified medical products could be as high as 30% in some economies, as well as over 20% in those of the former Soviet Union and East Europe. In the meta-analysis for 96 studies that examined 50 or more samples, it was estimated that the incidence of SF medicines in low and middle income countries stood at 13.6%. The largest incidence, however, was observed in Africa, with 18.7% and 13.7% in Asia. According to the WHO Global Surveillance Monitoring System, the continent of Africa accounted for 42% of the 1,500 incidents of SFs and counterfeit medical products recorded between 2013 and 2017. In today's world of globalization, innovations, technological advancements, exponential growth in e-commerce and global trade facilitation, illicit trade in fake goods has continued to be a significant and growing threat to economies globally. The socio-economic impact of this menace for any nation is enormous.
The DG, however, enumerated the strides so far taken by NAFDAC in mitigating the menace of illicit drugs.
There was a time when substandard falsified medicine prevalence in Nigeria was 40%, but we have reduced it now to 9.7% because of so many multifaceted approaches that NAFDAC is using. The most frequently reported products by member states were antibiotics and anti-malarials, which accounted for about 36% of all the products. Currently in Nigeria, like I mentioned, substandard falsified anti-malarials have been reduced to about 10%, 9.7%. Available data seem to indicate that illicit trade in substandard medicines may have been exacerbated during the COVID-19 pandemic when we could not inspect facilities. There was a surge of 5% in seizures in 2020. Medications of all types and classifications are subject to falsification and counterfeiting. Even though lifestyle pharmaceuticals are typically the most targeted, substandard falsified medicines for life-saving purposes are growing at very fast rates. Globally, the most common groups include medicines for treatment of severe conditions like cancer, HIV/AIDS, and malaria.
The DG also spoke about the developments being experienced in the area of local drug production, after which he congratulated the organizers of the program on the successful hosting of the 23rd edition.
We are reducing prevalence of substandard falsified medicines by day because we are committed. It is a fight, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, because the unscrupulous merchants will continue to get one step ahead of you. We now have a huge array of local manufacturers who are building brand new pharma manufacturing plants and retrofitting old facilities to meet global standards. In addition, we now have some of our local manufacturers having contract arrangements with established multinationals. I once more congratulate NECCIPR for the successful hosting of this program and express my desire for such result-oriented programs to continue to be hosted for the foreseeable future.
Speaking earlier, the organizer of the program, Mrs. Nkechi Ali Balogun, in her welcome address, highlighted the remarkable achievements experienced by the Nigerian pharmaceutical industry and the jeopardy being caused to these developments by the menace of illicit drugs.
The pharmaceutical industry has witnessed remarkable advancements, boasting the potential to transform lives. Regrettably, the dark shadow of illicit trade threatens the very core of the industry's noble mission, jeopardizing public health and eroding the trust fundamental to the patient-industry relationship. Today, we convene to discuss this critical issue that impacts not only our industry, but also the health and well-being of millions globally. Addressing this challenge is urgent, and today's event demonstrates a collective commitment to combating this scourge. Communication as a powerful tool plays a pivotal role in this battle against illicit trade. It is not merely a means of conveying information, but a strategic weapon enabling us to raise awareness, foster collaboration, and empower stakeholders across the pharmaceutical ecosystem.
In her own speech, the chairperson of the occasion, Senator Daisy Danjuma, commended the organizer of the program for the sustained efforts over the years, pledging her continued support.
For the past 3 years means advocacy and awareness to the public what this scourge that is biting hard in our society. And we will try our possible best to sustain that program so that we will continue to educate people and create awareness in this very illicit trade.
You have been watching NAFDAC and Your Health. The program continues shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back. You are still tuned to NAFDAC and Your Health. Drug security is chief among the issues of passionate concern for NAFDAC and the agency's regulatory obligation to the nation. This entails, among other concerns, the provision of quality and standard drugs to cater for the healthcare of the Nigerian people. However, as the agency puts the issue of drug security on its front burner, the thought of ensuring that the nation does not depend solely on importing these drugs from other countries has also been of significance. In other words, in working hard to ensure there is drug security, the agency has also been striving to ensure that Nigerian pharmaceutical companies are strengthened and are made to increase their capacity to be able to meet indigenous demands and also upgrade to have international standards, thereby reducing the nation's dependency on drug importation. To a great extent, NAFDAC, under the leadership of Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, has recorded quite remarkable progress in this regard, thanks to the DG's 5+5 policy.
What we are seeing now is the thought and efforts of NAFDAC that are now yielding fruit, and it's the beginning. Because we were strengthening ourselves and strengthening the industry, we now have the first company in the whole of West Africa and Central Africa to have a pre-qualified product, to have a drug product qualified by WHO in the entire West Africa, Central Africa. That is huge, but it's the beginning. It is the beginning. Because when I came, I told our people, think local. We cannot be importing 70% and making 30%. I want to change it around. Make 70% locally and import 30. Even importing 30 will not be forever. It is that we reduce. We keep reducing the level of imports. So we now see a lot of activities going on. During the pandemic, we were whipped with reality. Nigeria was whipped with reality. I agonized with our local manufacturers. Nothing could come into the country. The countries that were selling things to us from Southeast Asia couldn't. India decided not to, because they need to take care of their own people, and I don't blame them. We were left hanging. That is when all of us, including manufacturers, now started, oh, we've got to reduce our dependency on imports. It's not just that, it is that we have to also make active pharmaceutical ingredients. We want making a single active pharmaceutical ingredient in the country. Now we have EMZO. We were there 2 days ago. Their API facilities is about 75% complete. The FITSIN consortium, made up of about 6 companies, they will soon start theirs. That is when we start getting security health-wise. Without that, we will not have drug security. So the advantage of the 5+5 is yielding fruit.
It was in furtherance of our efforts to strengthen indigenous drug manufacturing companies that the NAFDAC DG recently paid an inspection visit to Codix Pharm Limited, an indigenous drug manufacturing company.
It started as far back as 1996, 2016, 2017. Okay. Shortly after I left GSK, we started this journey. Well, here we are today. We give God the glory of giving the adoration that dream that we had has come to fruition. We appreciate your coming, man. Out of your busy schedule, being here with us. It's not yet over. There are still so many things we are still putting here and there just to make sure that we minimize the turbulence and land safely. Yeah. So we have a presentation to make, just to give you a perspective on how the whole idea started and where we see the conglomerate going into the future. We're bold to say that this is the first of its type in Sub-Saharan Africa, the second in Africa. And I see so many landmarks down the line.
It A detailed profile of the company was presented to the DG and her team to intimate them about the journey of the company so far.
We see ourselves as a leading African health tech company. We do our best, like I've said, to improve health outcomes. We opened business in 2008, and for over 14 years, we've been trying to deliver on what we see as our mission in this industry. So far, we have opened over 12 offices across Africa, Europe, that is the United Kingdom, and the UAE. We have an office in Dubai. These are strategic offices. However, because we are here for Colexa Biosensor, it is very important to mention that we have offices spread across West Africa, East Africa, and we are looking at expanding our footprint. We'll talk a little more about why this is very important to our vision. As of today, Codix has a staff strength of over 150. By the end of this month, this number would have grown to about 670 staff employed by Codix, 510 of whom will be employed by Colexa Biosensor, and that is another mission that we have with this factory. Of course, I've talked about our products. So without much ado, our mission is to improve the health of nations spread across Africa through access to quality, innovative, technology-enabled healthcare solutions for the prevention, like I mentioned, early diagnosis and management of disease. This is who we are, and this is what we want the world to see us as, and this is what we strive every day to achieve.
The DG and her team were then taking an inspection tour around the company's production facility.
So the people from the warehouse, they drop the material.
Okay.
Yeah, they drop it in this room, but it's airlocked with all this. So once they open there, this cannot open, this cannot open.
Yeah.
Once they're out,
Then
the people cannot access, take the material from here, they put here, which is the weighing room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aside a few observations that the DG and her team pointed out, the DG and the NAFDAC team found the facility to be largely satisfactory. However, the DG engaged the management of the company in a conversation concerning how the company can pay more attention to certain observed grey areas. This is all we have for you on today's edition of NAFDAC and Your Health. Join us again next week for another informative and educative package. You can also help NAFDAC safeguard the health of the nation by supplying us with every information you have on the activities of peddlers of unwholesome and unapproved food products and other regulated products. If you have any information or inquiries, please reach out to us.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Please note, it is criminal to import, produce, distribute, market or sell unwholesome, unapproved or counterfeit food products, drugs, cosmetics, medical equipment and chemicals. Let us join hands with NAFDAC to have a healthy nation. Till next week, stay safe.